Okay, so welcome to Making More Money from Your Business, the roadmap. My name is Jonathan Clark, and today I'm talking with business expert Duncan Tannahill about the main steps every business owner needs to follow to succeed with making more money from their business and getting the best results. So welcome to you, Duncan.
Hello, hi.
Duncan's a well-known expert on the subject of making more money through business and has graciously consented to this interview to share with us the roadmap so that every business owner can understand how to speed up their business growth and improve their cash flow. So Duncan, thank you again for joining us in this live interview. Let's just jump straight in if that's okay. First couple of questions I've actually got is about your background and your experience in the field of business so that our audience can understand who you are, where you're coming from, and how you can relate to where they maybe are right now in their journey. And then we're going to jump into the major steps to success when it comes to growing a business so that our audience can understand if they're going in the right direction or not. So can you tell us quickly a little bit about yourself in terms of background, education and your experience in business? Where did it all get started from?
Yeah, great question. I started off when I left university as a graduate trainee with Ford Motor Company. Spent the first half of my career in the motor industry, latterly running a multi-million-pound group of businesses for a large PLC. And whilst I was there, I was responsible for delivering the business plan, so everything from writing the business plan, making sure it was delivered, and if I did that successfully, I would get a nice bonus at the end of the year, so that was the motivation in it. From there, I became Chief Executive at Glasgow Chamber of Commerce, and it was whilst I was at the Chamber of Commerce that I realised that most businesses, most small businesses, have a range of pretty typical type of challenges that hold them back from achieving their real potential. And I call that time, team and money. So sorting out those issues could allow businesses to move forward and prosper. So 15 years ago, I set up the Tannahill Partnership to work as a business coach and executive coach to help that type of small business to grow and develop.
Excellent. And you now have a program called Business Academy?
Yes, Business Academy is a product that we use for group coaching. So group coaching is where we get a number of businesses into a program, typically over 12 months, and we share with them the tools and techniques to allow them to understand the difference between success and failure in business. And sometimes that success and failure difference can be a very small gap. So the whole idea of the program is to get them across that gap so that they can go on and really exploit the potential of their businesses.
Okay, that sounds exciting. So what kind of business owner or business type is an ideal candidate for Business Academy?
So for Business Academy, good candidates are everything potentially from a startup business through to maybe businesses turning over maybe as much as a couple of £1 million. But the typical business is in and around the 100,000, maybe up to 500,000 type turnover business. So businesses that have got started, that know what they're doing, have got a good product or service, but just want to take it to the next level.
So if I'm right, Business Academy starts with a session called Start with the End in Mind. Is that correct?
It is,
so
yes.
How does that work? What does that do?
So most small businesses typically set a business up, get into running the business, run it day to day, month to month, but what they typically fail to do is to understand what the business will look like and what they want to get out of the business, let's say 10 years down the line. So beginning with the end in mind is a little bit like driving your car from Scotland to London. If you don't know where you're going, you don't know which route to take. So that particular session helps businesses understand what their vision should be, what their mission statement should be for delivering that vision, and the sort of culture that they want to embrace in their business so that everybody is working together to achieve that vision. And interestingly, as a session, businesses that get it and really put some effort into developing that process for their business accelerate their ability to grow because everybody is on the same page working towards the same goal and objective.
Okay, so I'd imagine the leadership is quite an important aspect in this.
Yes, so part of running a small business is typically the owner is the managing director, chief executive. They are the person in the business that everybody looks to. They typically are the expert in the business. They are the person that works the long hours in the business. They're the person that does all the firefighting in the business. the typical scenario of running a small business. So working with that person to help them understand how to improve their own leadership allows them to be more effective in their role, and if they're more effective and their team works better behind them, together they start to achieve some quite significant things on occasion.
Okay, so one of the complaints that you hear business owners talking about every day is not having enough time, too much to do, not enough time to get everything done. How do you help with that challenge?
Right, so one of the interesting little exercises you can do is take your current age, subtract that from, let's say, 80 years of age, which would be a reasonable life expectancy, multiply that number by 52, and that tells you the number of weeks you have left to live. And for a lot of people, that's quite a surprising number because it's not as big as you maybe think it is. So the point of that is that time is probably the biggest asset that any of us have, because once today is over, today is over. You can't go back and relive today. You have to start using the time you've got tomorrow and beyond. So understanding the value of time and making sure that particularly a business owner is using his or her time to the greatest effect, so that they are converting that time into the strategies and the tasks that are likely to deliver the best financial return for their business. Time starts to become something that they will appreciate in a different way. I also see with business owners a lot of people whose time is taken up by their just sheer engagement in their business. So they're in first thing in the morning, they're last out at night, and they can very often fail to do the things that are also important, of spending time with family, spending time with friends, and enjoying social pursuits out with business, because business is not the be-all and end-all, it is part of life. Yes, it provides for life, but how you use time will ensure that you get that right life-work balance. And you'll notice I say life-work balance, not work-life balance.
Oh, that's an interesting distinction. I like that a lot. Okay, so what does the Business Academy do to help with the task of managing and understanding money?
Great question. The typical business will have an understanding of money which might be as simple as saying we've got money in the bank so we're okay, through to businesses that will have reasonable management accounting information. When I work with a client, one of the first things I ask them is, how do you manage your finances? What do you understand with your finances? And we will typically look at getting financial reporting established so that it's being delivered on a regular basis. From that, we can also do some financial modelling to understand what are the right levers to pull and buttons to push to ensure that the business is focusing on the areas that will increase their numbers fastest and with the greatest effect. And typically the effect that business owners are looking for is more profit on the bottom line. So we use a tool that we have developed to do that analysis. That then is given to the business owner, who can then interpret the tool, and together we will work to make sure that they are using the right tools and tactics to grow the bottom line.
Okay, so a big issue for businesses is how many leads they've got coming in, how many inquiries they've got coming in. How does Business Academy tackle the area of lead generation?
We have a tool that underpins the whole process of generating leads. So the first thing for a business owner to work on or understand is how many leads are they generating just now, where are these leads coming from, how much does it cost them per lead to generate, and so on and so forth. So we do work with the business to help them understand those issues, and then start to look at what sort of tactics you can use to generate leads. At the moment we are up to something like 384 different tactics that go into that whole profit generating model, of which generating leads is the first part. So what we would do with the business owner is sit down, look at what they currently do, advertising, social media, websites, newspaper advertising, and so on. Work out the results they're getting from that, and if these results are good, that's great, we carry on doing that. But the probability is the businesses won't necessarily know or understand the numbers they're generating from that. So we'll do some work on that first, and then from there look at what are the potentially really strong tactics for a business to use. So just as an example, few businesses in my experience have effective joint venture partnerships working with other businesses that are working or fishing in the same pond as they are. So we'll look at setting up joint venture partnerships, and that in turn will start to generate highly qualified leads to the business. And it's tactics like that that then allow them to get a more predictable lead flow. And if you get a more predictable lead flow, the next step is how do you convert good leads into good customers.
And what about the issue of retaining customers and how often they come back to you, how often they spend with you? I believe you cover that as well.
We do indeed. The lifetime value of a customer is probably one of the most important things that a business should focus on. So if you go to your local restaurant, for example, and have a bad meal on a Saturday night, you probably won't go back. But worse than that, you'll tell a lot of people about it. So what we look at in terms of customer retention and making customers valuable assets of the business are the steps that the company can take to make their customers raving fans of their business. So not only do they come back and buy time and time again, but they will also spread the word about the business to people they meet, other business owners that they know, and so forth, so that you become the first port of call for somebody looking for your product or service. And that works whether you're a business to consumer business or indeed a business to business type of company.
Okay. No business runs effectively without good people. So how does Business Academy help an owner develop the right team?
Yeah, good thought, Jonathan. One of the things that business owners say to me, and I hear regularly, is I wish I could get the right people into my business to do the job. And I hear and absorb a lot of frustration from business owners that finding good people is not an easy task. And they're absolutely right, it is not an easy task. But the process of, first of all, of finding good people starts with how you interview for people or how you recruit and interview for people. So we have a system where we look at how to evaluate people effectively, conduct good interviews so that you really get an understanding of whether that person is likely to be a good fit in your business or not. For new people joining the business and for existing people within the business, we work with you on how to understand that person's core type of behaviour so that you can play to that and get them to work effectively and efficiently for the business. And the interesting thing with that is that we all think we know what our strengths are, but when you actually start to look at people's strengths, their obvious strengths are obvious, but it's the hidden strengths that can make the difference between a mediocre or also ran employee and a real star in the business. So by helping people to work to their strengths and really use their strengths effectively, you can make a huge difference in your team at an individual level and in turn how the team works collectively.
So when Business Academy concludes, you've got delegates that have trained, they know what they're doing, they've gone off and they're growing the business. What about managing their wealth, the money they make? How do you help them after the effect and how they handle all that?
Well, one of the things I love to see with people who have been through our Business Academy programme is the excitement and the confidence that they take away from the programme to go back into their business and their day-to-day lives. And clearly if a business becomes more successful, if it generates more leads, converts leads into more customers, sells more often to these customers, it doesn't take Einstein to work out that they're going to make more profit. And the important thing that we work with these businesses before they leave Business Academy is to understand what more profit means in terms of not only the success of the business, but as the business owner, what that means to their own individual wealth that they use to enjoy a lifestyle themselves, with their families, with local community organisations that they may support and so on. So we always finish up Business Academy by looking at how do you generate wealth and how do you maintain the wealth that you create so that it becomes something which becomes a real legacy for you, and in the fullness of time something you in turn may well leave to your children and so on. So managing wealth is not just about making money, it's about understanding how to make that money then work for you in the long term. That's the final and I think quite exciting message for delegates on the Business Academy programme to take away from the process.
Excellent. So can you give me some examples of some results that Business Academy has achieved with some of the delegates?
Yeah, I can think of a number of good examples. I worked recently with a veterinary practice, so somewhere where you take your dog and your cat for service. The business was literally lying with its throat cut. The two partners did not always take a salary out of the business every month because there was no money. So we worked on our profit builder model, how to make more money for the business. We worked on around about half a dozen strategies that were the right ones for that business. And over the course of around about 9 months, we increased the profitability of that business by some 57% based on growing the turnover and allowing them to understand what made money for the business. One of the nice things of that result was the partners could take money out of the business every month, which goodness knows they were deserving to do, but they also were in a position to give a salary increase to their staff, which clearly motivated and excited the staff. So that was a relatively simple process in that business, but with massive end results. Another client I'm working with just now is one of the fastest growing SME businesses in Scotland, where again we've used common sense approach to understand where they are, what their strategy needs to be to get them to where they want to go, and then just regularly making sure that that is being implemented, understood. Where it works, do more of it. Where it doesn't work, understand that and change it so that it does work. And these guys are absolutely flying towards becoming, in this case, they're two young guys, two very wealthy young individuals. I've also worked recently with an engineering company in the East End of Glasgow, a very traditional, dirty hands type business. The owner of the business working day to day in the business rather than working on his business. So by taking him through the Business Academy program and approach, he was able to see and understand where the areas of the business were that he could make the biggest difference with. And for him, it was around about just understanding that to grow the business, he had to get more customers. To get more customers, he had to do more of the right type of marketing. So that in that business is what we've helped him to do.
Excellent. So thank you for your time, Duncan. If someone was listening to this and is really interested in looking into Business Academy seriously, what's the next step for them?
So great question, Jonathan. Very simple process. Go to businessacademy.group, put your details onto our landing page. We'll send you out a complimentary tool so that you can just start to get your teeth around some of the things that Business Academy covers. But we'll also then have your details so we can give you a call, have a chat with you and take it forward from there if it's the right process or program for you and your business just now.
Fantastic. Listen, thank you, Duncan, for a great interview. I'm sure the business owners and the audience will have a much clearer understanding of the steps that you take people through on Business Academy, so they can make more money and grow their business, improve their cash flow, and you've laid out everything pretty clearly. So thanks for sharing your expertise and your experience so graciously. Thank you to the business owners and the audience who are joining us for this presentation about the steps to get started in Business Academy. And if you're interested, go to businessacademy.group and we'll hopefully hear from you soon. Thank you very much, and thanks, Duncan.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Thank you.